We are back for Do This, Not That. I want to label this thing the F name episode because the last thing we're going to do when we talk about personalization that works is talk about first name. Who cares about telling people their first name anymore? That's 1985 throwing up all over your marketing. No, I have some new personalization stats and trends and things that are so easy to do in all of your marketing, email marketing, social media, search, your website. I don't care that if you leverage these things, you will see increased engagement. It costs you nothing, takes 3 seconds. Here's the concept that you want to put in your brain at all times. The sooner you could tell somebody who they are, the faster they want to engage. All we want to know is that whatever it is that we're looking at is for me and it's not for everybody else. That's it, right? If I said to you, this podcast is only for marketers, you're like, ooh, that's me. I got to check it out. Now, what does this mean related to personalization and email and social media, all that stuff? Let's talk subject lines. We just completed this massive study. We were looking at millions and millions of emails we send out, and we do this study about once a year related to personalization in the subject lines specifically. And I want to talk consumer examples and then business examples because this is game changer stuff. So if you put personalization in the subject line, it can radically change your open rates, the percentage of people opening up your email. But a lot of people think when you talk about personalization in the subject line, you're talking about first name, J, comma, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't do it anymore. Using first name in the subject line for personalization now only will increase your open rates by about 4%. If it was 2 or 3 years ago, that might have been 20%. But so many people started doing first name personalization that it became total wallpaper. So the personalization, first on the consumer side, in subject lines that does incredibly well are things like geography. If your subject line was popular in Miami and the people you were marketing to is in Miami, that's going to lift your open rates over 25%. A life event just for new homeowners. If that's who your database is, or that's a segment within your database, you're telling the person, hey, you just bought a home. This is just for new homeowners, right? This is just for new families. This is just for recent retirees. Life event. Another one is interest just for avid golfers, right? Just for DIYers. You take whatever the person's interested in, and then you tell them that this sale, this offer, this piece of content is just for you, just for that thing. Okay. Or you could just focus on a past purchase. You take the data that you have on what they just bought and you slug that in as the dynamic personalization. You say, for your new rug, right? For your new living room, all of these tactics, geography, life event, interest, past purchase on the consumer side, they are lifting open rates over 30% than if you don't do them. All you are doing is telling the person what they're interested in and who they are. Now, on the business side, the exact same thing works. This level of personalization, you're not telling the person, Jay, comma, check out our really boring webinar. No, that's garbage. Here's what works on the B2B side, the business side. Put the company name in the subject line. Is Acme at risk? Oh no, I work at Acme. What does that mean? I got to check it out. Just for Acme. Dot dot dot. Ooh, I work at Acme. You see yourself in that subject line. When you put the company name in the subject line of whoever it is that you're marketing to, it lifts that open rate by about 41%. But it's not just company name, it could be job function for CFOs only. It could be industry, trending in the retail sector. How about longevity? Only for new customers, only for returning customers, only for customers that have been with us for 10 years. When you do any of these tactics on the business side, it will lift your open rates by over 30%. All you are doing, and this is the mistake that marketers make all the time. What marketers do is they will go into their databases and they will pull out an audience, business or consumer, and they will target that audience. So, like, this campaign is going to new customers. This campaign is going to this demographic. Okay. And then you'll send it out. But all you're doing is sending it to them. What you're not doing is you're not telling them who they are. So, whenever you segment an audience that you are marketing to, you also want to tell them that they're in that segment. because then when they get it, they're gonna be like, oh, this is for me and not for everybody else. And it's not just subject lines. Then when they open up the email, okay, the headline of the email says the same thing, just for automotive professionals. Okay, just for affluent investors. It doesn't have to be just for. I keep saying just for, but you reword it however you want. You mention the thing that they're interested in, who they are, what their job function is, where they live, whatever it is. You put that in the headline. You then put in the body copy, and then they click. They go to that landing page, that destination page. Again, you say it again in big bold letters on that landing page. That same thing for DIYers, right? For CFOs, for HR professionals, for people that work at enterprise organizations, for mid-market professionals, for small business owners. It doesn't matter. You keep telling the person who they are. And now forget about email. Do it in your social media posts. Okay. Big words. You call out the audience that you want to see that thing. You do it in your search ads. You do it on the homepage of your website. Everywhere where you possibly can, you want to tell the person who they are. Because when they see it's them, right, they will jump on board that. And it can go even deeper into your data. Okay. You can carve out, for example, let's say you get a lot of reviews. Take everybody who's given you over a 4-star review. All right. And then you send them an email and the subject line says, only for our favorite customers, because you know they like you and you give them something special. Only for our first time customers. What if people registered early for your webinars? All right. You take that database of the people that registered right away and says, because you registered early, and you give them that thing. Recognize the activity they did, recognize who they are. That's what people want. That's what people care about. That's what works. All right. I get so worked up on this topic. I can't believe it. All right, before we get into Since You Didn't Ask, which is the chaos of this whole thing, listen, I want to let you know that this podcast is presented by Marigold. And a lot of times when you hear sponsor read, you're like, oh, I'm tuning this out. I'm going to wait till he's done because who cares? But I'm telling you, I know you're in the market for a new email sending platform. I could feel it. I know you are because you're not happy with whoever you're using. There's a better way. I use Marigold. You want to go to meetmarigold.com. Doesn't matter if you're a small, medium, or a large sender, business or consumer. They have a roll up. All the companies, Cheetah Digital, Sail Through, Campaign Monitor, Emma, all of it. Some of the best sending platforms all rolled into one. Okay, go to meetmarigold.com to check them out. And if you want, you could DM me and I will introduce you to the amazing team there directly. So DM me on LinkedIn or go to meetmarigold.com. An incredible email setting platform. Strongly recommend. All right. Let's get into Since You Didn't Ask. And this one is really Since You Didn't Ask. So I don't quit on me here. This has nothing to do with whether or not you watch The Bachelorette or not. Okay. But this has to do with The Bachelorette and The Bachelor for that matter. So this week has been the hometowns on The Bachelorette. And for those who don't watch, I want to explain to you what the hometowns are all about because it is ridiculous. So what happens when the Bachelorette gets down to the last 4 people? Okay. She has these 4 dudes that she's considering. She flies to each of the hometowns of each of the 4 remaining guys that she may or may not get engaged to. And then when she gets there, each guy, she gets 1 full day with each guy in their hometown. So they'll go to wherever they live in. Somebody lives in San Diego, and the guy is supposed to put together a day where they have a lot of fun and they do something random, and they'll go to like a market or they'll go to some really strange touristy thing. It's always very uncomfortable to watch because they're doing something random. And then in each town, the girl, the bachelorette, and the guy who may or may not become her fiance, they go to the home of the family of that person. Okay. And then they go in the home and it is so awkward and it's so terrible. And they sit on the couch and they tell their love story to the parents, to the siblings. And then they go, okay, now we're going to go talk privately. And they take the bachelorette, the one who has to decide amongst the 4 people, and she'll sit down with the mom or the dad or the sibling. And the same thing happens every time. The mom and dad or sibling, if they're into it, they'll say nice things like, oh my God, my son loves you. You're a perfect match. You should get married. Sometimes, though, the sibling or the parent will say, listen, I don't know if he's ready for marriage. I don't really know what he's going to do when it all ends up. And does he get on one knee? I don't know if he's ready for that. And then what happens? This happens every season. The bachelorette will be like, she'll leave there, okay, and she'll be like, well, the family said he's not ready. Every time when the family says not ready, that person always, so after the 4 visits, they do the rose ceremony and she has to get rid of one dude, get it from 4 to 3. Every time the dude that gets kicked out is the dude whose parents or siblings said, nah, he's probably not ready. And they screw him and they get sent home. And I get frustrated because why? Who are you? Shut your mouth. You have nothing to do with the process. Makes me very, very upset. I don't know what I'm talking about. This podcast is out of control. Listen, I appreciate you being here. I promise you on the next podcast, I will talk about something way more useful than what I just talked about. Probably not. That's probably an epic lie. But I appreciate you being here. Maybe leave this review, maybe not. If you didn't register for Guru Conference, we have almost no seats left. GuruConference.com, the world's largest virtual free email marketing conference. Sarah Jessica Parker is going to be there. Amy Porterfield's going to be there. I'm going to be there. The founding of Morning Brew is going to be there. I don't know what's going on. Register at guruconference.com. You're awesome. And don't let your siblings or your parents talk to the person you might get engaged to and ruin it for you. This is my life advice. All right, later.